The Cultural Revolution was necessary. If it did not occur, Mao would have been overthrown earlier. The socialist line would have been cast away much earlier. because because there were the revisionists, there were those who were trained in China for a period of 10 years. You know, Chinese students, worker trainings were sent to the Soviet Union at the time that revisionism was flourishing. And so they came back. So you had, especially at the junior and middle levels of the bureaucracy, you have those already infected by Soviet modern revisionism, and then there is this bad habit of worshipping anything Soviet, no? Even revisionism because it was Soviet. Well, it's okay to honor Lenin and Stalin for their great achievements for building the Soviet Union, but simply because revisionism was put forward in the name of the Soviet Union. According to Mao, you don't just follow the Soviet model in a canine way. Anything just because it came from the Soviet Union, you must worship it. And besides, even good things, dialectical materialists, Marxist-Leninists have this view. Even when something is good, it is in the past. You must consider whether it's still good in the present, and it applies to the concrete conditions of the country. I'll just give you a good example of, let's say, in the time of Stalin and also Lenin, Stalin and then Lenin, and then in the time of Lenin and then Stalin, you see the workers were enthusiastic. They set high goals for production. Then, but then it seemed like they honored so much the collective system, and there was a tendency to forget individual responsibility. So, by the time of Stalin, the system of a definite director in charge was adopted, and this went on for quite some time. First, the enthusiasm of the workers without a definite director occurred. Then this would be replaced with a definite leadership over the many. Now, in the case of Mao, he proposed a three-way type of leadership, in the factory. It would be a combination of the party cadres, the experts, the representatives of the masses, and the experts, three-way. Party, leadership through the cadres, the masses of workers, and the experts. So, and then in this system, so that the leaders would know the conditions of working on the bench, they would spend, they were rotated, so that they would also work like the ordinary workers. And well, the leadership would be running anyway. So a certain portion sits on the bench working like the other workers. So these were reforms made by Mao, and then you see in the Soviet Union there was great difficulties in making the socialist economy, in industrializing the economy, because it was the first socialist country. So that the speed of industrialization was such that there would be complaints that the peasants were too much was being taken from the peasants. But of course, the compensation would come later. The peasants supply the food and raw materials for industrialization, but then as the industrialization succeeded, the tractors, and many other tools should be brought to the peasants, and better clothes, more clothes should be delivered to the peasants. So then there is this interaction. Now, but then the criticism of the Stalin period is there was too much investment on heavy industries. So Mao wanted to improve on that. He conceived of having heavy industry to set up the foundation of industrialization, and he said agriculture must continue to be treated as the main basis of the economy, but there must be a bridge between the two. Light industry, which produces the things that are immediately needed by the majority of the people for production and consumption. So, from the viewpoint of Mao, things were not at a standstill. He was proposing new things. And going back to the original question, the Cultural Revolution had to occur because there were already revisionists in the Chinese Party. And they were already proposing policies contrary to the socialist line. And so Mao thought, this is the biggest contribution of Mao. Before this biggest of his contribution, there was the big contribution about criticizing revisionism as it emerged in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. The biggest contribution, however, will be in his theory and practice of continuing revolution under proletarian dictatorship in order to consolidate socialism, prevent the restoration of capitalism, and combat revisionism. You can reorder that. Combat revisionism, prevent restoration of capitalism, and consolidate socialism. There were those who thought in terms of economism. The way to build socialism is simply to expand the economy. And to expand the economy would be to adopt certain reforms of a capitalistic character, like in the Soviet Union. Mao opposed this, no? You know, if you have already gone beyond the transition period, and you have already set up the communes or the cooperatives, if you start allowing the peasants to expand their private plots, the tendency will be to throw away the stones to the fields of everyone, of the cooperative and commune, and then they will make their own business, neglecting the cooperative or the commune. You know, having a small plots by peasants was necessary in order to assure the peasants of certain things, vegetables for the family, and if they have extra, they can exchange that with the neighbors, or if they have, or if the neighbors themselves have plenty of let's say tomatoes, they can bring the tomatoes to the town market, no? So that's supposed to be the system, because you know, in a cooperative farm, you may be planting the same kind of crop, no? Because of the demands of the economy, of the economy of scale. No? When you produce a certain crop on a large scale, that means you produce more efficiently. So the farm workers need certain vegetables. No? They plant, or they also they are also allowed to take care of some animals, pigs or whatever. Now, the revisionists, under the guise of making the economy more efficient, they wanted the peasants to have larger private plots. And then there were all sorts of so-called reforms. Now, you can see how good is the Cultural Revolution in the sense that it tried to stop what is bad. If you see what's bad now, then that was what the Cultural Revolution was trying to stop. No? China now is actually dominated by the big bourgeoisie, with the privateers and the bureaucrat capitalists cooperating. So, then the objective of the Cultural Revolution was to prevent those capitalist-oriented reforms.